As I walk up here tonight, people have been asking me if I'm nervous to talk. When I look around the room, the reason I'm not nervous to talk is because it's home to me. I see people, parents of players that I played with, parents of players that I've coached, people that have been involved in the program but not had players. It's incredible. It's incredible to be part of such a community, and I'm thankful for it every day. As I walked up, I was thankful that I didn't follow Autumn's talk because she was pretty good. So I started thinking about what I was going to say here tonight a while ago, and I tried to get it onto a Google Doc today. My wife witnessed me rubbing my head on the couch and looking around, and then I just kind of put it away and said I can't do it that way, so I'm just going to talk to you from my heart. So what can I offer you? Keynote speaker is supposed to have some culminating mission or something that speaks to what they're going to talk about. What lesson can I teach the people in this room? I'm not going to teach the people in this room very many lessons. The quality of the people in this room is incredible. So I figured instead of going that route, I'd tell you what I see taught me instead. So when I looked at where I was in life, when I got asked to have this conversation, I thought about all the things that had come before. My wife had just had a baby, so I was on maternity leave for 2 weeks. I was out of work. So I walked into my room. I looked around the room, and the kids were all excited about something. So these are kids, 7th and 8th graders in math intervention. They're not usually excited to be at school at all. And I see them looking around my room. My room's usually white walls, and there's nothing to distract anybody, so we keep our mind on what we're supposed to be keeping our mind on. And on the wall, there's a quote. And the quote says, "Aim for the moon. If you miss, you'll land amongst the stars." So I walk in for the first time 2 weeks, and I sit down and I look at the quote, and all the kids are talking to me. Why don't we have quotes? Why don't we put quotes on our wall? Why did the sub put a quote on her wall? And I looked at the quote, and I said, that's the quote you like? They said, we love it. We think it's great. I said, well, I don't like the quote at all. I said, well, what do you mean? I said, aim for the moon. If you miss, you'll land amongst the stars. I said, well, that's mediocrity, if you ask me. They looked, and I'm like, what do you mean, Mr. Krefft? I don't understand what you're saying. I said, well, if you're going to aim for the moon, hit the moon. Don't miss and land amongst the stars and hope something happens. Hit your goal. So we're going to change the quote. We're not going to have that on our wall anymore because we're not accepting mediocrity. If we aim for something, we're going to hit it. Or we're going to keep working until we hit it. We're not going to land somewhere among some other things that we didn't really plan on. So they look at me and they're like, well, what are we going to put on the wall? So I looked around and I thought about my days at IC and Bill Schmidt and Mike Elcagno and people in this room and Pam LeVar and Amy Fahey and the people who have taught me and continue to teach me what life is about. So I put a different quote on the wall, and I'm going to tell you about the quote tonight. Commitment to excellence is everything. That's my lesson. That's my message. In all that you do, in spirit, mind, and body, commitment to excellence is everything. Mediocrity is everywhere in today's world. It's everywhere. Settling is everywhere. Our kids don't accept that. The School for Independent Thinkers. That's what we have that's our saying. Well, we went down to Wesleyan this year. We lost the game this year. Not everyone in this room knows this. People that were in the football banquet know it. We were 14-0 in our record, but we did lose a game. Our first 7-on-7 versus Chatham-Glenwood, we got absolutely smoked. They looked at me, and they felt so bad because they thought that we were going to have like the heart-to-heart talk. They went and sat in the bleachers, and they looked at me, and they were worried about what was going to happen because we just lost to a team that we shouldn't lose to in 7-on-7, and that was the first game of our year. Sat in at bleachers and we had a conversation about what it's going to take. What it's going to take to have success. Where we're going to go from there. Looked at the kids, the independent thinkers. I said, this will be what you make it. IC will be what you make it. That's the best part about this place. It is what you make it. Well, from that point forward, and there were some other words that were talked about in that conversation. From that point forward, they didn't lose a game. They went out and they smacked Naz and Evanston in the face in 7-on-7. They went through the regular season like you know they did and on to the playoffs. But see, it started at the Chatham-Glenwood game because they refused to accept anything but greatness together as a group. That's what I see in this room tonight. The side story about that, the independent thinkers part, talk about how incredible the young people at IC are. Our last day at Wesleyan, we were dragging a little bit. It was the morning after, 3-a-days for 3 days. Things weren't going well. We were running practice just by ourselves, just little IC on one half of the field. Well, bigger schools are all over the place and they have their offensive session and their defensive session going at the same time, and we have our 45 kids just working as hard as they could. Well, it wasn't going well. So, got a little upset that it wasn't going well. I said, that's it, go home, be done. We're not gonna stand here and accept mediocrity. If you wanna practice like that, go home. We'll get on the bus right now. We won't stay for Esh's talk and we'll get out of here. Well, my coaching staff, who's the best coaching staff in the state, they're over here, some of them, and I appreciate you being here, and Nick Simpson back there, and the team as a whole. When I say the team, I mean Pam LeVar and Amy Fahey and Jim Keneally and Father Tom and everyone that goes with it. Well, the kids decided that they weren't going to accept my invitation to go home. I looked at the coaching staff and I said, that's it, get off. We went and sat on the bench. We sat on the bench. Our kids ran practice. They ran an hour-and-a-half practice. During that practice, I learned more about our program than I had in the last 17 years that I've been a part of it. You heard the words that we were saying coming out of their mouths to each other. Somebody started to play, stopped the play, they spotted the ball. Special group of kids. Different. Now you got coaches from other schools walking around looking at us like, I see coach staff's lazy. How the hell do they win? I mean, there's 17 coaches sitting on the bench and the kids are running practice. They don't even have a whistle. So people are looking at us like we're crazy. It was the greatest thing we've done in our program. They ran it. It was theirs. From that point forward, coaching staff didn't drive our season. Kids drove our season. They did it from day one. It was theirs. Excellence matters in all that you do. They believed it. When I talk about living it, talk about it every day. Because it's everything you do. In everything you do, if you live it, if you don't accept any mediocrity, if you chase excellence in everything that you do and don't settle, then you get it. That's the message that we have in our program. Today I was sitting in a bubble bath with my 2-year-old. I didn't think I would ever be taking bubble baths. And he said, Dad, the water's hot. I said, the water's hot? He said, yeah. So I turned the knob a little bit. And he said, it's still hot. I said, okay. I turned it back a little bit more. He goes, oh, okay, it's warm now. So I caught myself thinking, at what point does warm turn to hot? At what little temperature change does warm turn to hot? To me, it wasn't about water. It was about excellence. At what point do you turn from being average to exceptional? At what practice? At what class? At what point in your life do you turn from being mediocre to only accepting excellence? It's a really fine line. Really, really like just that little bit. See, in our program in the last 2 years, and I say our program because it's ours, because without you, we wouldn't go. go. And I'll tell you a little more about that at the end if I decide I'm going to stop rambling or not. Well, see, I don't know what point it is. I think it's different for everybody. But there is a point when you turn from warm to hot. I see part of that journey. I see what it stands for, the education it provides. Some people turn from warm to hot while they're in the school building. Some people turn from warm to hot 10 years later. But it's part of it for all of them. It's a vehicle to turn you from warm to hot. It's always been that way. That's what really hasn't changed for me. See, there's a different group of young people that come through every year. Different special group. And I watch them grow as they go through the walls of that school. Pam LeVar's still there, turning them from warm to hot. And anytime they get a little bit off of warm, kind of going to cold, she gets them back to warm so they're closer to hot. So if you looked at our program, in the last 2 years we've lost to one team. We lost to the 3A state champs last year twice. That's pretty good. The year before, we lost 3 games by less than a touchdown. Could have had 3 in a row if we turned from warm to hot earlier. Warm to hot, in that 3 years ago, it was like this close. It was a fumble on the 1 yard line going in to beat Glenbard South for the conference title. But instead, we dropped the ball and lost 28-21. Bishop Mack. We lost Bishop Mack 3 years in a row. Going into the semifinal game with a special group of kids, the Pat Guinans of the world, and the group of kids that were just special and took over the program and changed the culture and made it a winning culture and would not accept excellence. We thought we had the game. We thought we grew. We did grow. We just didn't get all the way to hot yet. Right after that game, a lot of people turned to hot. We didn't look back. That's what changed it. They changed from warm to hot that night. Probably it's not going to go back, because by the way the weight room's going right now, they're on hot. They're still working. So if you looked at excellence like it was the tallest tree in the world, excellence, something that you're just going to always chase, and maybe you never get to the top of it, what would the tree be made of? What would the pieces of the tree be? I don't have that answer. I think it's different for everyone. I think the journey is different for everyone. But I can tell you with a lot of confidence that I see is probably the roots of that tree. It's been the roots for me. I think it's been the roots for a lot of people in this room. I know for the kids coming through the program and coming through the school now, it's the roots. Roots are strong. They're guided by a lot of great people. A lot of great people. When you talk about what I have in my life, well, I was walking through my college graduation line and I got a call from Bill Schmidt that said, come back and coach football at IC. Okay? Well, that turned into a job teaching 7th and 8th grade special ed at Jefferson, so away from my family to live. And now I'm here in front of you. And the reason I'm not nervous is because this is home. You're like my family. And I can see everyone's eyes. We're that close. The kids talk about our program as a brotherhood. It's a brotherhood. Sisterhood too, because all the people in the stands that are with us, they're with us. And the moms that make the program possible, they're with us. So that tree, that really tall tree that like you looked at and everyone's gonna chase, roots are the most important part. You can keep climbing as long as your base is strong. That's what I see as, it's the base. I was sitting down out there, and this morning my wife brought it up to me. There's an article, and it stuck with me, and I'm going to quote whoever wrote it. I think it's Carolyn, I'm not sure if it is. It said, in the article it said, and the article was titled, We Lit the Night. The first sentence read, what began 5 years ago as a picture on a storyboard became a reality. The middle reads, through the continued generosity of our alumni, parents, friends, and benefactors. At the end it said, it has become a symbol of pride for IC Catholic Prep in the Elmhurst community. It's talking about the athletic complex at Plunkett. It's talking about you. It says, through the continued generosity. It goes through you. All of it. See, the greatest part of IC has been and always will be the people. When we meet new people that we think are prospective student athletes for our school, the toughest part is getting them in our building. Once they walk through the building, they want to come to IC. That's how it works. See, the people are still the greatest part. You're the vehicle. You're the piece. You're the infrastructure, the roadway system. You're the only way that we get to travel where we get to go. Each young person's journey is made possible because of you. It said it goes through you. It was right. Our goal has to be complete commitment to excellence. Complete in all that we do. Make our school better than everybody else's in every way. From teachers in the classroom to facilities, to the relationship that's formed, to the education that they take with them. Complete success. We need to grow. We need to eliminate the norms. We need to look at things a different way. We need to be revolutionary. It's expected here. Excellence matters in all that you do. That's what this place is about. Gonna end with a story that got me here. I was asked by the volleyball program to speak to the girls. It was the most terrifying question I've ever been asked in my life. I went up to Cal and I'm like, listen, and he like gave me this look and I said, so you want me to talk to 14, 17, 18-year-old girls about greatness? Yeah. I said, Cal, can you? Yeah, I'll introduce you. I'll get them settled. So I walk in and I look at this room. And these girls are all in. They're committed to excellence. They want to hear from me. I'm scared out of my mind. Start talking to them about our program, what we do. And I did just what I did here tonight. I can't talk by reading a speech. And I told them I'm going to talk to you like you're my team. I'm not going to talk to you like you're the girls' volleyball team. So please take it easy if things go a little south somewhere along the way. But that's how I'm going to talk to you, like you're mine. So told them a story to end the conversation. Okay, and they needed a little bit of they needed to know what it meant to go all in. Okay? So I told them this story. It's not my story, I just heard it offline. It's about a dad and his son. So they're sitting at breakfast. Dad and his son. The son looks at his father and he says, Dad, I'm learning the difference between commitment and contribution in school. So I really don't understand the difference between being committed and contributing. Dad looks around, thinks to himself, says, well, look at your plate. So you got eggs and you got ham on your plate. He goes, son, the chicken made a contribution to your breakfast. It gave a little something of itself. It gave something to you. It gave you a little piece. The pig went all in. That's the difference between commitment and contribution. Thank you. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your commitment to excellence. Thank you for supporting this place, for allowing me to talk with you. Thank you for giving the young people that come through that place the roadway system and the vehicle to achieve it. when you leave tonight, wherever you go, wherever you think about, just stay with that little piece. When it comes to the young people at IC, be all in. Commit to excellence. Don't contribute. Live it. Thank you.